Hello, welcome. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. So we're going to go through all about how to get a Canadian working holiday visa today. Talk about the application process and the like. So myself, I'm Ash. I'm one of the training advisors here at EA, and I'll just let my colleague over here introduce himself as well.
Yeah, I'm Alex. I'm also a training consultant at EA. But the reason I'm involved in this is because I'm calling from Canada today. So I'm still in my first year of my IEC visa myself. So I don't know, perhaps I should be an expert. We'll find out during this, I'm sure.
Awesome. Hey, so it's all about obviously those that are watching and are in attendance today. So what we'd love is just if you have any questions about the Canadian working holiday visas, we're going to sort of go through a little bit of talking about the process, what it actually is, why it's required for our programs. But if there's any questions you want to put forward, just put them through. We will come to a point where we will go through those questions probably a bit later. Maybe also, I can see there's some comments. Thanks, Maddie, for your comments. And also Chris just asked the question here, can I watch it later if it's a video? Question, yes, you can. So this will all be recorded. It'll end up on our Facebook page. We'll probably also put it on our website at some stage later on as well. So if you sort of have to run off, it might be worthwhile just if you've got any questions you want answered in the session, just pop it in before you go, and that way we'll get it. Awesome. So I'll just pop up, I'm just going to pop up the title here, just so everyone's all clear on what it is. So how to get your Canadian working holiday visa. So this is pretty crucial for our programs that, if you are doing an internship in particular, that you do need to get one of these visa types if you are coming internationally. If you're a Canadian citizen, you're sweet as, no worries at all. You can just turn up and you're all good. But pretty much for everyone else, most people that we're speaking with, you need to get one of these visas. So most recently, Alex, I've been through the Canadian working holiday visa process, but it was about going back to like 2004, I think, when I did my first season in Canada. So I'm a bit rusty on when I did it. I know the application process reasonably well because we're talking about it on a daily basis with people, but Alex, I might get you to obviously start the ball rolling on what is an IEC Canadian working holiday visa first off, and
Yeah, so the IEC stands for International Experience Canada, and it's the name that they give for the working holiday visa that we all need to get. If we're going to be traveling the world and we want to supplement our travels with working, it's the working holiday visa that we need. I would say that the Canadian visa does get a bit of a bad rep for being impossible to get, and I think what you have to realize that it's all about timing, depending on where you're from and how popular the visa is. So places like Ireland, they give you guys a hell of a lot of visas that, even though it's still a popular visa, they don't run out. And New Zealand and Australia, they absolutely love you guys, so you get an unlimited amount. So it's very easy for those guys to get it, but everyone else, like us from the UK, France is especially hard. Germany can be tricky. Some of these countries where people like to travel. It's all about timing, and that tends to start fall, they call it over here, but autumn. So they're saying it's late fall this year that they'll start inviting. But once you get that will allow you to come to Canada and work legally and fund your travels. So hopefully that sums that one up.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much, Alex. So we're going to obviously just go through a little bit more about the process. Obviously, as Alex was saying, there's different amounts for different countries, and I guess the crucial thing that we're just trying to make sure people are first off aware about is firstly the importance of the timing of when they open, which we are right sort of just around the corner from that happening. Like, we're sort of keeping an eye on the website every single day. So one thing I'm just going to pop here, and this is something, throughout the whole time you're watching this, if you do want to be alerted to when visas open, this is really, really, really important, particularly for some countries more than others. Then just pop in the words "notify me" in the comment section below. That way, we'll just kind of have a means to be able to obviously connect with you and just say, look, the date's been advised, and we can also help with further information on how the full process works. If you want to sort of associate that with how the programs is, if you haven't inquired with us before, or if it's been a while since you've last spoken with us, we can obviously explain, what options we've got, what availability and that kind of thing as well. So I guess one thing that's very important that not necessarily everybody knows is that we have already been open for the Canadian 2019-20 season for quite some time in terms of taking bookings and people registering interest. So we've actually had some of our first options for 2019-20 actually already filled up. So it's, if you've sort of been thinking about this for a while, but you think, well, I've got a year to sort of sort things out. That is the truth. But there are a couple of things to be mindful of. Visas is one thing, and the availability of our options is obviously, two crucial aspects you just need to be sort of keeping in mind. But anyone else that's obviously just joining us today, we are going on path of talking about how to get your Canadian working holiday visa. So that's sort of the main title of the session. And obviously, as mentioned before, if you've got any questions at all, just feel free to post them below. We'll just do our best to answer them as we get through. But yeah, I guess we'll start with the first bit, which just pop here, which is just in terms of checking your eligibility. So pretty close to, a good majority of countries around the world get a working holiday visa, correct there, Alex?
Yeah, it is. Most countries, obviously, they've got the pretty handy tool, haven't they? Which you're probably about to talk about.
Yeah, so if you're just kind of keen to know and you just haven't quite sort of had that assessment made, I mean, we can make a pretty quick assessment if you're speaking with us over the phone or dropping us an email. There are a few intricacies, things like your date of birth. Obviously, with these kind of working holiday visas, they are typically 18 to 30 years of age, but in some cases, some countries have it up to 35. So it's something just to be, I guess, checking. And this here is, I'll just provide a link and just leave it up for a little bit. If you just want to check your own eligibility, then you can enter this URL into your browser and obviously just have a bit of a look. And it should give you a bit of an idea. I guess something, Alex, here I'll just maybe allow you to discuss a bit. So International Experience Canada, the website, it's catering to quite a few visa types. Are you able just to explain sort of, I guess, what, that obviously working holiday visa is the one that we're wanting people to get, but sometimes there can be a little bit of, I guess, because there's so many other visas on there, it's just something to be.
Yeah, exactly. So the MyCIC website is for all immigration in Canada. So there can be confusion because it is only the IEC visa, the working holiday visa, that we want to look at. The other ones on there, they might have work visas for people that are doing more skilled jobs and trying to actually sort of permanently come over to Canada. So yeah, it's really important that it can get confusing because they've got a lot of their own lingo on the website. So yeah, we've actually written instructions which we send through to everybody, and it's important to follow those because yeah, you are essentially entering the country and you're not sort of an expert at anything. You're just doing it so that you can work as well as travel. So you need to make sure that you're on the IEC visa when doing one of our programs. There's a few other ones, such as the co-op one as well, which isn't isn't quite the same. But yeah, you're just going for the IEC visa when you're looking to work and travel.
Yeah. So what happens, obviously, so you've checked your eligibility, it says you're eligible, you're within the age range. I guess I'll just put a quick mention out here that something I've read recently is for Australian citizens, it used to be 18 to 30 years of age was the eligibility criteria. So if you were up to 35 years of age, then unfortunately you were between 31 and 35, then you were out of the game. But that's changing as of this year. So yeah, I guess anyone that potentially was previously ineligible, you may now be eligible if you haven't sort of noticed that update. Yeah, I think there is going to be some new changes as well. There's something to do with Portugal as well. I think I saw recently coming on board. I don't know if they had a eligibility in the past, but I think it is looked like it's going to be eligible this year. So what sort of moves on? Obviously, you've checked your eligibility. It says you're eligible. The next thing is applying to the pool, creating a profile online. So are you able to just tell me if someone's obviously keen now to apply to the pools, is that something you can do now, Alex?
So you can make a MyCIC account at this stage, but you can't make a profile for the 2019 IEC visa season, which is what they call it. So the latest update was given on the IEC Twitter, which obviously anyone can follow and is a good way to keep on top of things. The tweet I'm talking about said that all the 2018 IEC visa profiles were being deleted, and it will soon be time to make the 2019 profiles. So yeah, it should be happening very soon. Last year they did the first invites on the 20th to the 24th of November. So usually it doesn't sort of deviate from year to year too much. So we are expecting some movement very soon. And yeah, me and Ash had a conversation just before this started where, yeah, it was from following it year after year, we do sort of notice that a lot of things happen on a Friday before they leave the office, perhaps. So there might even be something on Friday, but it is hard to tell because they don't give you exact dates. But of course, we'll be following that and notifying anyone that's left a comment for us.
Yeah, so I think often, just as a bit of a rough expectation, normally once they announce it, a bit more specifically, they give sort of I think it's 72 hours where they'll give the date, and then within, I think, 24 hours due to opening, they'll give the time. So just something to, I guess, bear in mind. Yeah, applying to the pool, it's something we would obviously strongly recommend to anyone that's interested in a program in Canada at all. If it's an internship or an internship plus. With us, the applying to the pool, it's not meaning that you're officially applying for the visa as such. You're basically creating a profile on the website, and from there you will then hopefully move to the next stage, which will be awaiting an invitation to apply. So you're sort of, I guess, just putting details on their system, saying I'd like to be considered. Something that is often asked to us, a bit of a frequently asked question, is if you've been in there in the past, you've put your name on the system, you've applied to a previous pool, will that just automatically pop me in? The answer to that is no, it won't. You will have to start it again. So that each time it opens, it's obviously something you have to get going again. So the invitation stage, so what sort of would people expect once you've created a profile and applied to the pool? Let's say that the visa pools have opened, you put your name in, you create a profile, now what happens next?
So this is the part where people get frustrated, and this is the part where you do need a bit of luck. So the way it works, for most countries, they don't give out enough visas for the amount of people that want to come to Canada, unfortunately. So just to give you an example, usually initially give the UK 5,000 visas. In the end, probably around sort of double that. Probably say that they want one and go into the UK visa pool. And yeah, the weight can change, so they do it in waves. Now, as I said earlier, they did the first invites last time around the sort of late November, and you have to hope for one. It is randomly selected. You are from the pools, so I think, you know, from sort of helping out people, I've been doing it for sort of 3 seasons, Ash even more. When people get in the pool at the start, I mean, they usually can get one pretty quick. It's not something that you can ever guarantee. You know, I've not looked after anyone, but I have heard stories of people getting in at the start and never receiving an invite. But yeah, I got one. My girlfriend didn't get one. That was 2 years ago, and we got her in at the start of the visa application process last year, and she probably received her invite within a couple of weeks. So, you know, that's lucky, but it is all about the timing. I have even had people that have put their profile in sort of I think late May, and even get an invite. Usually the UK gets some 2,000 extra around that time, which is helpful. So yeah, there isn't really an answer. This is the stage where you're sort of finding out if you are or if you aren't going to Canada. There's still a few extra things to do, but it's the invite that is sort of a little bit left to chance. But this is why we're running this now, so that everybody who's organised and interested and wants to go to Canada can get in now, and then they get the highest chance of getting a visa. And yeah, most people that are going to be looking now will get one.
Yeah, definitely. It is, you know, it's really a case of increasing your probability, and the only way you can really do that is getting in there as soon as it opens. It used to be kind of crazy. It used to be like a mad rush for like popular concert tickets, because it used to all go on priority of who got in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, like all the way down. So people were like having to do it in like 2 minutes. It changed a couple of years, fortunately, which is just a bit more relaxed. You know, you can just, and that's probably one of the big things, just making sure when you go through it, don't ridiculously rush it. You know, you just want to double check all the fields you're filling in. You know, spelling mistakes. If it's asking for your full name and passport at some stage, you're not putting, you know, just your first and last name, but not including your middle. It has to obviously translate to your passport. And probably one thing that's kind of, I guess where we take on a lot of the responsibility is that this whole process of applying for a Canadian working holiday visa, it's not the most sort of customer service orientated process. There's no sort of, I just want to call up the free helpline and just have a chat with someone. It's a very sort of faceless thing. So you go into it, you're going to get responses that are all quite sort of automated, and yeah, I guess that, you know, if you're having issues, then it's often the case that maybe it's just something, a field you filled out wrong or something like that. And that's where we've got a lot of this detail, because we do check it every year. We check for updates. If there's anything new, we'll make those adjustments. There are a couple which we will go into here very shortly. But yeah, I guess just making sure that you're in the system early is probably the biggest priority. Put your name into the pool. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not obligating you to the process. It means you can make a call later down the track as well. So, you know, if you're even remotely considering and you're going, look, I'm just not really feeling quite ready to make this big step, you're not actually making a big step when you've applied to the pools. It's when you get the invitation that's sort of when you have to, I guess, press go on proceeding further, because that's when you're paying money. That's when you're submitting documents and that kind of thing. So obviously there's a recent change there, Alex, to the system. Obviously, let's just say in the scenario you've received your invitation to apply. What's expected from you now? Okay,
cool. So this is what you've been waiting for, and this will make the dream happen. But this is actually also a part where people do mess up, because, you know, they might have asked for asked for the visa, you know, 1, 2, maybe even 3 or 4 months ago, and then they get the invite, and they're, you know, they're not thinking about things. You usually get an email message saying that you've got a note in your or a message, sorry, in your account, and then you go on and you've got the invite. So yeah, you've actually got 10 days to accept that invite and say that you want it. So that's really important to do. You know, for anybody that's waited a long time for their invite, you don't want to mess it up there. Unfortunately, people do mess it up there quite a lot. So yeah, you've got 10 days to accept it. And then after that, yeah, you've sort of got 20 days to get all your information together. So that's the next sort of steps. There's still a few more sort of hurdles to jump through. It is all on their system, so it's quite easy to follow as you go. And it's not a short amount of work. You know, if you are, I know that sometimes people are traveling, that you can do it from anywhere in the world, this visa, which isn't true of all of them. But yeah, if you were doing it with a dodgy connection in sort of in a beach on a beach in Thailand, it might be quite difficult, because I remember it took me, you know, the best part of a whole evening to sort it out. You've got all sorts of forms, like they have their own form, a family form where you've got to put all your family details and stuff like that. And they've also got some extra things. So one of the things you have got to provide is a criminal records check from not just your country, but any country that you've spent more than 6 months or more since you've turned 18. So a lot of the guys, I'm sure, that are going to be watching this and looking for a visa are probably travelers like myself. So yeah, I had to, as well as getting the UK check, I also had to get the New Zealand check, and I also had to get the Australian check, because I'd spent, you know, a long amount of time in those places. But yeah, it is worth noting that if you lived anywhere before the age of 18, you haven't got to get a police check from there. There's a few more hurdles to go through, but I don't know if I'm going to be jumping ahead of Ash's agenda there.
No, you're okay. Yeah, into the nitty gritty part of the visa application.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Once you've got we usually say to our guys, you should be getting the police check as soon as you get into the pool, because they're valid for 6 months. And yeah, once you have got them, you do you do sort of want it to all be there, so that you can, you know, accept it in 10 days and just get it as quick as possible. Yeah, we've definitely had people that are organised getting it before Christmas if they have done all of that. Is it worth me mentioning the new stuff for this year, Ash? Yeah. So the big change, and people might be sort of asking about it, is that they've brought in this new thing called biometrics, which is basically getting your fingerprints done. So it is new. Yeah, I haven't really dealt with anyone doing it yet, but I have done a fair bit of reading on it. So it is something that everybody has to do. Australians and New Zealanders don't have to do it until the new year. So if you get yours in quicker, you'll be exempt from that, because it costs 80 Canadian dollars, and you usually pay for that whilst you're doing the application, and then you've got to go to a visa application centre, which are all over the world. So again, you know, if you are traveling and you are in Thailand, for example, you can go to, there's a centre in Bangkok. So you could do it there, even if you're from the UK or you're from elsewhere. So that is good. I have noticed on there that there's not one in Edinburgh or Belfast, but so you guys might have to do a bit of traveling. But yeah, there is one in Dublin. There's a few in Australia. There's one in Auckland. So if you're on the South Island, you're gonna have to do a bit of traveling again. I'm not sure if they've got plans to get more of these centres, because some countries have more than one. But yeah, they're rolling that out this year. So Yeah, it has actually got some different payment options, but again, the best is to do whilst you're doing your application, pay for it there, because that essentially means that they're going to get through everything quicker, and they can get it sort of back to you and get your visa sorted sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I guess this part of the process is something that someone just sort of muddling their way through. It's quite easy to get wrong, we will admit. So it is something that we do really like to have some involvement. If you're considering our programs, I guess the worst thing we can have is if someone has started the visa process, try and do it all themselves, and then there can be, I know there's one question where it talks about in relation to internship, and our programs are called internships, obviously, but they're talking about it from a visa perspective, which is related to university studies. So we have quite a detailed guide. It's quite sort of, we're not, we're trying to make sure that the whole process is as simple as possible. It's normally something, there are visa entity companies that help people in the processing their visa. We don't charge for that. That advice is something we're just happy to offer, and sometimes we do get that question: should I engage with a company that helps arrange working holiday visas? The reality is you can, but it can be quite costly. It doesn't guarantee you anything further than you doing it yourself. It's just probably more so the convenience for yourself. Would you say similar to that there, Alex? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you want to save some money, you can do it yourself. It's it can be daunting because a lot of people haven't been through it before. But yeah, that's why we run this, and we give you, if you do follow our instructions, then 95% of people get it right. I have got the small percentage of people, exactly the question that Ash just sort of talked about there, where they ask you if you're in an internship. The answer is no. Otherwise, it adds a complication. It's not impossible to get over. But yeah, ultimately, they actually do, believe it or not, want you to come to Canada and enjoy it. So that it is designed to get most people here eventually to come and have a good time. Yeah.
So I guess just to sort of summarize, so we're sort of getting near the end of sort of the discussion of the process. So first off, you're creating a profile, or even before that, you can check if you're eligible for a start. Once this, you can't really do much else beyond that, other than maybe just educate yourself or get in touch with us and just get some sort of advice or questions answered. But after that, when the pool's open, that's sort of go time. Best possible recommendation all time being here is just getting in there early. So don't muck around with that. Just put your name to the system, because you're not in the runnings if you're not in the system, basically. And we are anticipating it to happen very soon. The reality is we sometimes get people late in the year. We've got people even in the last couple of months that have been going, I'd like to go to Canada. Unfortunately, it's sort of on a downward trajectory when they start opening. It's not dropping quickly. There's still plenty of places available relative to the amount offered, and for a reasonable while, a lot haven't been handed out. So your likelihood, I would say, is especially some countries, it's very, very high. Other countries, it's high probability. There's a possibility you might not get it. That's always possible for some of the countries, but I would certainly say it's very high probability that you're going to get it if you apply early and get yourself all set up. Once you've obviously gone through that visa application process, like Alex has been talking about, next thing is you're waiting basically for any further updates, and the hopeful update is you should get a port of entry letter, which is that's a very good sign if you do receive that. What does that mean there, Alex?
Yeah, so that's the letter that you need to show to the border services agent when you come to Canada, and that's what you've been waiting for all along. It will have on it some it will give you a year to enter the country, usually, so that, you know, that's from the moment you get it, you've got that time. And then as soon as you enter, that's depending on what country you're from, you might have 1 year or you might have 2 years, and it will start on that date. Quick note on that one, some people, it was a little bit confusing this year because I think the point of entry letter doesn't actually have that name on it. But, you know, it will be pretty obvious what it is, hopefully, when you do get, again, like all the sort of notifications and the system work with this, you get an email saying that you've got a message in your account, and then you'll go in and that will be a PDF that you can download.
Yeah. Certainly some other helpful tips on top of what you've said there, Alex. One is maybe just double checking you know, spam, junk mail, just in case you know, any updates go on there. Yeah. Because it's, once again, it's quite an automated beast. It's handling a hell of a lot of applications from all around the world. You're not really dealing with humans. I mean, there are humans on the other end, but they're sort of hiding behind the cyber wall, I guess. Something that is part of that sort of automation of the system is that, let's just say you received your invitation. If you decided to go for a month-long holiday and you know, just I'll get back to it when I get back, you know, I've been invited, then it does have a time frame. That time frame will just automatically boot you out if you don't action from the time. So it's something just, I guess, to be particularly mindful of. You know, keep a regular eye for updates. Check your things like your junk folder just in case anything goes in there. Any problems, best generally that you advise us as soon as you sort of see them. Don't sort of wait, just because that, once again, that time frame can be working against you if you don't act on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other sort of?
Yeah. There's obviously people do encounter problems and they do things wrong. That's always going to happen. So yeah, if that is happening, make sure that you do talk to us. Like Ash said, there's not a lot that can't really be solved. You know, they call me the expert. I know that when I came here, because I waited sort of 364 days to actually activate my visa. So by the time it came around to coming to Canada, I'd forgotten all my login details. And you'll have a lot of fun with those because you get lots of different security questions that you've got specific answers for. So it can be quite hard to get into your system. And I was locked out of mine, but they have got a really handy help center on their website where you can search for pretty much anything. Yeah, I didn't get to speak to anyone, but when that happened with me, they unlocked my account and they specifically sent me the point of entry letter. So yeah, there's the help center on there. If you're talking with us, yeah, as I said, I've been sort of helping for 3 seasons, Ash more. So there's not a lot of sort of situations that we haven't come across. So even if you think that you've done the opposite of what we've said, or you've really, you know, messed up, just let us know straight away so that we can help you. But yeah, one thing to take away is really making sure that you're aware of all of the different timings, because the amount of people that do sort of, you know, get their invite and then lose it is, you know, it's quite a shame really. Especially at the end when they're not giving out as many invites, people get you know, left out, and there's no need, because it's all about timing essentially. So if you're switched on, you know, and you get in there at the start, you should get one.
Yeah. Just got a really good question here from Anthony, which I'll just post up on the page here. If we apply it as soon as they open from the UK, how long do they take to be approved? So what would sort of be an expectation if, let's just say, you're aware of when it's going to open, you're notified of when it's open from us, you put your name into the system, how long is everything going to probably take?
Well, again, obviously we can't make a guarantee with the nature of the random selects. If you got in there at the start and you got sort of invite on the first wave, which was last year, 20th to 24th, I think it's possible my girlfriend sort of almost had it. It couldn't have been long over a month since it had opened, so you can get it really quick, and you can know very early on. But as I was saying, with the nature of it, you could, at the end of the day, they run out in sort of June-ish time. You might even be in there until then. So yeah, less than a month if you're lucky, but could be longer.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so I guess we'll sort of probably head into some questions now. If anyone's got anything that you just kind of want to know a little bit more, obviously this is the time to do it. And we'll obviously do our best to help out. I guess just one thing that I've just sort of thought of as a question for myself there, Alex. So let's just say, obviously, these two things are alongside each other, getting a visa and obviously looking at a program placement. Mm-hmm. What's your recommendation? How does it sort of work? Like, obviously there's an extended time frame potentially. You might not know for a while for the visa. How, if you're looking at our programs, how would you sort of?
Yeah, great question. So I mean, Canada's potentially our most popular choice. There are some that are up there, but yeah, because of that, and people are pretty passionate about coming here, so they do the research, and most people know that they've got to be sorting out the visa now. So some of our most popular programs in Canada are even starting to be full now, and unfortunately we can't give away an unlimited amount of jobs because our guys need to work. So once they're full, they're full. So yeah, that fits in with our programs. Obviously you secure your spot with a deposit, and then we set up a payment plan for the rest. And it is still important to put that down on that spot. We fully expect you to get a visa at this stage. It is out of our control, so there is a chance that you might not get it. We'll have other options for you if that's the case. If you are from the UK, you can always go to Switzerland. Most places can go to Japan as well. So in the past, they might have looked to do an internship at one of those places instead, or maybe even a training program in Canada without the job aspect, if it's important to them that they go there. So yeah, we'll have other options for you, but you will need to secure your spot. And as I said, it's about timing. So if you do get in now, we fully expect you to get one, really.
So yeah, obviously as well, any other questions, just feel free to pop them through. Mason, I know you had a question, and you're obviously booked on with our programs. We'll look to answer that just because it's obviously a bit more related to you being booked on already. Yeah, and just once again, probably the first thing to do is check. If you're just kind of interested now, you want to know, check your eligibility first off. I think it's probably a good recommendation just to see if, and we can sort of make a bit more of a firmer assessment, not just on visas. Often when people sort of approach, something like this, it's obviously a pretty big undertaking, going over, resetting yourself in another country, taking on a program that's quite sort of, I guess, quite grand. It's a big decision. So we do normally like to have a good catch up over the phone, in addition to email. I think that tends to work best for us, and most people generally appreciate that best. But we can sort of make a bit more of a firmer assessment on eligibility for, based on snow sports experience. If there's other intricacies, sometimes it can be things like your age. You might fall outside of the age category for the working holiday visa. So it's just sort of making sure. And I guess on another point, something that we do sometimes get asked, and it's valid for people to ask, is what happens if in the absolute worst case scenario, which I don't think should be the case. If you're one of these people that's onto it early, you should be sweet. I'd honestly sort of feel that that's the case, but it is possible. It's probably a low probability, but it's possible that if you didn't get the visa, what happens then? And the reality is, fortunately, we do operate at more than one location, and they're all pretty sweet locations. We've got the likes of Japan, that most countries, or good majority of countries, can look at. Not quite as many as Canada, but still quite a good chunk can still look at. Same kind of timing. Switzerland as well. We've got New Zealand in the southern hemisphere, so we'll generally work with you on sort of alternate options. We've got training programs in Canada, so it means you can still go to Canada. Doesn't mean it's all sort of all over if you didn't end up getting your visa. And also just to be mindful that sometimes it just has to run its course. It might feel like it's taking a while. You're being very patient, but it still comes through. So it's just a case of, I guess, some of those points to be aware of. But yeah, you got anything else to add there on that, Alex?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much I think we've been through pretty much everything. I mean, there's lots of guides online as well. But yeah, we've hopefully put together some instructions for all our guys that are easy to follow. But yeah, the main takeaway is to get in now. Get in when it opens at the start. So very, very, very soon. And keep an eye on your emails. Make sure that you're when you do get that invite that everyone's after, you don't blow it, because that's definitely something that happens a fair bit. And yeah, the Canadian visa gets an unfair rep, because people will be sort of still entering in it well before when it's full and there's none left, and that's why everyone thinks it's impossible to get, but it's not. It's all about timing. So yeah, just be switched on, be organized, and you'll get one eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah. Also, as well, I guess if you are if you feel that you've got some friends that you may have been considering going to Canada with, we're more than happy if you want to sort of share this out. I mean, it's all about just trying to help educate and make sure people know all the information. Some of the things that obviously we've discussed today. So that'd be highly appreciated if you were to share this video. All sweet. If not, no worries as well. And as well, if you have seen this or after it's gone live, so obviously there's people watching it now, but there will also be people that might come across this later. Still feel free to comment, and we can obviously go through, drop you an answer and reply by comments. Yeah.
Especially if they're skiers and snowboarders. Just on that note, on the 22nd of November, all our guys for Cyprus, which is the Vancouver Mountain, and Big White and Revelstoke are all coming to Vancouver. So really stoked for them coming. We're going to have some good fun here before they head off to their resorts and do their dream seasons, which is all what it's all about. Canada is an amazing place to come and spend a season. And yeah, hopefully we'll get some people that are psyched to do that on the back of this. So let us know if you're interested in that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess just once again to notify anyone that is maybe out there in the World Wide Web, and if you did have a Canadian working holiday visa, or you're in Canada, you kind of think, I'd love to do this season, I could actually make this work. The reality is we still have a couple of places, not a hell of a lot, but there's still a couple of places in Canada. So just reach out to us if that's something you want to do. It could work. We can make it work pretty quick. It's just obviously for most people, getting a visa in time for this year, it's pretty much ruled out if you're starting the process for 2018-19. But if you're looking for 2019-20, you're in the ideal timing. Same goes for a couple of other places. We've got still a couple in Japan, but all these you're probably going to have to be moving pretty quick with, I have to say. But legend. Hey, well, thanks so much for your time there, Alex. Good catching up.
Thanks for yours.
Yeah. All your comments and anyone that's obviously click notify me, we'll type that in. We'll make sure we get something out to you, and maybe just some other helpful information that might sort of find would be of use. And reach out to us if you have any questions. Thanks so much.
Cheers, guys. See you in Canada.